Hey kiddos, it's me, Jody. I'm here to give you your full moon forecast for this month. The full moon will take place in Pisces at 17 degrees. Just to be a little wary, it is also the day after Mercury goes into retrograde. So that's going to kind of play into effect with the Pisces full moon this time. Okay, so just be aware. We'll talk about that in a little later. The Pisces full moon energy is about feeling, listening with your body, and working with your own intuitive flow. Okay, so just be aware that this is why I brought up Mercury. Mercury is about the mind. Pisces full moon is about your feelings and your emotions and your intuitive nature without thinking. So we are going to maybe see some issues that may come up with this particular transit with the Mercury retrograde. This full moon should push us out of the areas you need to focus on. Well, this full moon should push out the areas you need to focus on, that you can clear any mental or emotional clutter. So basically, this full moon is going to push out the areas that you need work on mentally, because we need to be able to feel ourselves in the universe to move with the flow of the astrological transits as the universe keeps moving around us. This is a good time to do journaling work. I know for me, I do journaling, I do video journals, and it does definitely help me work through stuff. And we'll go over this a little later on how to do this type of journaling, because we need to be able to work through our emotions, and we need to be able to feel and sit in our emotions and not really think too much into it. Okay. So this is going to be if you haven't been doing the work on yourself, this transit this full moon really could hit you pretty hard. If you've been doing the work, this should just bring up some areas that you need to continue to do more work on, what area you need to focus in on. If you are feeling out of sorts or all over the place, take a step back, breathe, find your center, and see where you may be holding on too tightly. Okay. So this is if you are feeling out of sorts and all over the place. Okay. You need to take a step back, take a breath, regroup, find your center, and see where you're holding on too tightly. Okay. You must learn to release the control. And this is going to play into a big part of this. Okay. I don't really talk too much about it in my notes, but I do know that this is going to be one of the things that we're going to have to learn to let go of, the things that we cannot control. And I even wrote down to make sure I stated the AA philosophy, accept the things that we cannot change. Okay. And change the things that we can. All right. We can't change other people. We can't change situations, but we can sure change the way we're looking at things. So this is really all about how we're going to change and do the internal work necessary for us to move forward, to become more stable and more balanced and more at peace with the universe, and to have things go a little bit smoother. Okay. You may feel unsettled in our being, we may feel unsettled in our being or unsure of how to proceed ahead. Things may not feel as clear as we would like them to be. This is really going to be for people that really need a lot more work, I think. If you do work and you're constantly working on yourself, this might not be a big issue. But if you may feel unsettled, okay, in your being and unsure of how to proceed ahead. You just, again, take that step back, regroup, and look forward. And it'll come. Just don't get too anxious over not knowing where you're supposed to go next. It will come. Try not to overthink this. And again, here's that part. The reason things are feeling unsettled, the reason why it's hard to find where you're supposed to go is because you're overthinking about it already. So don't get caught up in that. If you experience this, it's a good time to center and balance yourself within the universe and sit in silence and find your peace. And that's exactly what my note says in regards to this. So that's the big thing. If you're feeling unsettled and unsure and how to proceed, just take a step back, relax, sit against a tree. Don't focus on anything else and just live in the present moment. Okay. And that's so important. And we want to make sure we understand that part. Okay. Because we're trying to rush to a place that we're not quite ready to be there yet. Okay. And that's probably the reason why you're feeling unsettled. I hope you guys don't mind if I vape. So I want you guys to kind of make sure, just not even so much the astrology stuff, but make sure you're paying attention to, taking a step back. And then also, living in the present moment. Because sometimes the answer to the movement is not there because you're not there. I know you want to be there, and we all want to be there. I trust me, we all want to be there, but it takes patience and time, and we have to learn to relax, okay? The answers or directions you are seeking may not come from thinking things through, but from feeling things through. And that's what I was talking about. This is all about our feelings and sitting in the moment, okay? We got to try not to overthink anything or think at all. Just sit in it. Feel what it is that's going on inside you. Try not to pretend that it's not there either, okay? It's important to acknowledge your feelings and learn to sit through them. Listen to what your feelings are sharing about who you are. These feelings and emotions that you're having are letting you know what's kind of going on inside you. And I want you to be aware of that. So if you're angry over something, you need to internally look at that anger. You need to understand that you're angry. If you're upset or sad, you need to look at that and understand that you're upset and sad. And we'll go over about what to do about those in a little bit, okay? But you got to be able to sit in it first to understand it. Don't think about them. Just sit in that moment, okay? We may feel past issues, old wounds, or things we have been too afraid to look at coming back up to the surface. We may have to finally take time to pause and listen to what our inner world is trying to say. So basically what it's saying is a lot of times we have a tendency to run and not want to face things that have hurt us in the past or any issues that we didn't want to face. This is going to be the period where this stuff is going to come up, okay? And don't think it's not going to come up. With this Mercury retrograde playing into effect, I'm telling you guys, this is going to be a big one for all of us. So just be aware that things are going to surface up during this period of time that needs to be addressed. The universe is not going to let you walk away free and clear on this one, okay? And again, if you're finding yourself getting all worked up, just take a step back, breathe, regroup, and just chill for a little bit, okay? And it's like a sport, okay? It's no different than if I was coaching a team too. If I have somebody if I'm coaching basketball and I got somebody who keeps going out for layups and is rushing the play and missing the basket, I need them to take a step back. I need them to stop on the court, take a step back, breathe, regroup, and go at it again. So it's all about patience and just fine-tuning this process, okay? Trying to control or force things is not going to work under this energy. We need to learn how to surrender. We need to allow. We may even need to sit back and allow things to unfold without our interference. And this is what's so important. And I'm going to tell you something. This slowing down process is not as easy as it seems. Mercury is just going retrograde. It is slowing down and it's moving back in degrees. Okay. This is all internal work. We need to slow our world down. We need to look over things and we need to learn to have patience and that the things that we need to work through are important and we can't rush through this. All right. And we need to learn to surrender that part of ourselves and allow things to take place and carry on. If an external outside force is causing you, some chaos, you need to ignore that and regroup internally again. Because if something is causing problems on the outside world, that's not even what this is about. The external world is not where we're supposed to be in. We're supposed to be in the internal world. And if an external environment is causing you problems, definitely take a step back. Take a couple of steps back, why don't you? And regroup. And just let them know that you're taking that step back and that it's not about them, it's about you because you're not able to handle that situation at this moment. You have some work to do on yourself first, and then you can come back and readdress this issue if it is something that you need to be concerned about. Okay. But just be very aware of that, because that's going to be a big issue, especially with this Mercury retrograde, because a lot of times we have issues in our relationships during a retrograde because of communication issues. But I want you to be understanding that this is all internal work. Any external issues that are going on are not where we're supposed to be putting our energy. And we need to put the energy into ourselves and start the healing process on the wounds that we need to heal first before we can even address the external issues. So you understand, we cannot address any external issues at this moment until we internally address our issues. So let's internally address the issues that are coming up. Let's work on ourselves. And that's where the space that we need to be in and put the energy into us, not in the external world. And again, just communicate this with whoever you're having an issue with or a problem with, and just let them know this isn't about them. You just, right now, you have to do some internal work before you can address this issue with them, and let them just give me some space. I'll be right back. I need to work on some stuff for myself, and then I can come back and we can talk about this. That's all you have to say. It's nothing, you're not putting the blame on them. You're totally taking this up and taking it for you. This is about you, and it's not something you can address right now. Now, if it's an emergency, obviously that takes precedence, but obviously we all work through those things. Especially because, and like I said, this is going to bring up past issues and old wounds. A lot of times an external environment can trigger a wound, and this can cause the wound to happen. So you may find that you're having issues with individuals to trigger internal wounds. And unless you want to start, making this better for yourself, you better understand that as soon as somebody triggers you and this wound comes out, you better make sure to take that step back. I can't stress this enough, how important it is to take a step back. Okay. Regroup, reflect, analyze the situation, address the wound, see where it's coming from, and start from there and start getting that wound healed, because you're not going to be able to address the issue that's at hand with the significant other on the other side until this wound is healed, because obviously it's getting triggered, and this person most likely is not the reason the trigger or the wound is even exists. They're just triggering an old wound. Okay. Trying to control or force things is not going to work. We've just talked about that, and you have to learn how to surrender, right? So forcing yourself to actually go through something is not going to work either. All right. You can't force anybody to make changes, but you also can't force things yourself. You've got to allow yourself to sit through something. Okay. This is not always easy. The thing is to do, but again, this is not always an easy thing to do. But again, it's important to remember to accept the things we cannot change and allow the process of the universe to do the thing it does. This also includes allowing your emotions to flow freely to unlock what is hidden deep inside you. And that's what I was talking about. It's not just about forcing other people to do stuff. Don't force yourself to run from your emotions. Sit in it. Okay. And that's a big thing, because I know the way they had worded it sounds like, don't force things on the external. No, you don't have to do anything with the external world. You can just walk away. That's everybody else's problem. Everybody's is responsible for their own life. Okay. Everybody else is responsible for their own life. Unless somebody's really trying to hurt themselves, other than that, we have to be able to understand that the universe will take care of them just as much as it's taking care of us right now. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to allow yourself to feel the emotions. Don't run or hide from them. Don't try to force yourself to overcome this emotion. Allow yourself to sit through the emotion and ride it out. Okay. And again, I even put this again, this is a great time for journaling. This is a great time to journal your emotions. Just write everything out that you're feeling. I don't care if it's true or not. Just write it out, get it out. I like video journaling because I like talking it out. It works a lot better. It's a lot longer than therapy sessions go. So I can talk for 2 hours straight, but eventually I get everything out that I'm upset about and I just work through it. And then I go back, I take that step back after venting, basically. That's what I call it. And I take a step back and I look at it and I kind of relax and I sit and I reflect and I go, okay, now we can start again. And that's what I think. Every time we're always taking a step forward, couple steps forward, and then all of a sudden we go through these full moons or transits, and all of a sudden things happen that we have to pay attention to, and we got to take a step back again, because we went one too many steps, but that's how it works. And we got to take a step back, regroup, look at it again, reanalyze everything, address it a little differently, and view it differently. This is where the Mercury retrograde comes in. We have to use our minds in a way that's going to benefit us in the end, okay? And the thing is we almost have to rewire the way our mind is thinking, because our mind is run amok for all of us, okay? I ran into this problem years ago. I had to do a lot of work to make the changes, but this is the thing. We got to rewire our brains. To first do that, we have to stop thinking and work on our emotions first. I need you guys to recognize any negative emotions and understand that that's not the truth in the situation, because we're trying to get to the heart of the matter, okay? And that would be the core wound. Be aware of the energy of Mars affecting this full moon. Mars has a tendency to act too fast. So this makes it a little more difficult when we are trying to learn to slow down. The thing is Mars is going to start slowing down September 4th and 5th. It's going to go retrograde not until October 30th. So it's still a ways away on the retrograde. But because it's not in retrograde, which means it's internal, it's still external, but it is slowing down. But try to utilize that slowing of that energy down to not react to situations that fast. And that, because Mars can do that. Mars can make us react real fast. And without thinking sometimes. Just try to slow yourself down a little bit, because a lot of times we do tend to make some mistakes because of past thinking and thoughts that have become programmed into our mind, that we don't even think about things anymore. That we're so used to things turning out the way they are that we automatically have a response, and we have to change that. Okay, we got to stop this pattern. We're trying to stop a negative pattern from existing anymore. And so to do that, we got to try to fight this a little bit and fight that reaction time, because we got to ask ourselves, why did I just react like that? What caused me? And there's a core wound there. So just be aware that Mars is going to be playing into effect, but Mars, with it slowing down a little bit, should be a little easier than normal, because it is starting to slow down. It's starting to slow down right before the full moon. So it is on its way of slowing down a little bit. So it's not going as fast. So hopefully this will give you an opportunity to make corrections, especially with that Mercury retrograde coming in, okay? This energy is urging us to listen and find our stillness. Don't forget to listen to what you are saying. Listen to what your inner self is telling you. So be aware of your emotions. Really look at your anger, your sadness, your frustration. And then I want you to ask yourself, why? Why am I feeling this way? What is making me feel sadder? And you got to really dig deep. Pisces is about really inner deepness. Okay. This is where you're going to find this. This isn't superficial stuff. This isn't because somebody hit me. Okay. You know what I'm angry about? The fact that I even put myself in that situation that I can get hit. That's what I'm really angry about. See what I'm saying? You got to get to the core issue. It has nothing to do with the person that hit me. I am upset because I even got myself into that situation. Now I got to figure out how I got into that situation and where can I fix this so it doesn't happen again. See what I'm saying? This is exactly like coaching a sport. We have to get to the root of the problems. Why am I sad? Well, why am I sad? Am I sad because I got hurt? Am I sad because it's somebody I love that hurt me? Well, what is it that's making me sad? You have to look at what's causing the sadness. Am I sad because I know this is going to have to end this relationship? That's what's making me sad, because I can't put myself in that situation if I'm going to get hit again. No way. But it's sad because I have to make that decision to walk away. And that sadness, being sad, is usually what causes actually problems too. We have to understand that our emotions do affect others around us. So we have to try to get us back to ourselves and back to being who we are truly, like the free spirits that we always have been. And those are the beings that people love. People don't love us when we're sitting in sadness. People don't love us when we're being angry. And I'm not meaning that people don't love us when we're being sad. People love us when nobody wants to see us sad. But nobody wants us. After a while, you're going to start to see, if you stay in that state too long, you're going to start seeing people back away, because eventually people are going to be like, it's all her. She's got to figure this out. Because people can't be there for you 100% all the time. So you got to understand that part of it. It's a give and take for everybody, but you can't drain everybody's energy because of your sadness. You have to take responsibility for that sadness. You have to learn how to get yourself in and out of it. It's okay to sit in sadness for a little bit, and that's what this is teaching us. Pisces is teaching us how to sit in sadness and sit inside our emotions and let it sit there for a little bit, but we have to learn to get ourselves out. And to do that, we have to get our minds in a different space, okay? Pisces full moon, let me just listen to what your inner self is telling you. Remember, your inner world always presents the wisdom you need at the perfect timing. So trust in the process and allow it to bring you comfort as you work through these energies. And you have to understand, if we are rushing to try to get somewhere and rushing to try and do something, we're not allowing the process to take place, and we're overrunning it. And we have to take a step back. And when we sit in peace and silence, the answers really come there. That's where you'll get the answer. I'm telling you, it works like magic. It's awesome. You just got to allow the process to take place, and then to start to learn how to use this technique to get through everything throughout life, okay? Because this Pisces full moon, as much as it may cause some issues coming up to address, it's also teaching you how to do this. And it's not just here. Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac. They got this down. They know how this works. They know how this works. Pisces is trying to teach us how to do this. So I'm trying to teach you how to do this by knowing that this is how I did it. And I'll be honest, guys, this Pisces full moon is in 17 degrees Pisces, and my rising is 17 degrees Pisces. If you don't think I don't know how to do this, then you don't know who I am. I've been doing this for a very long time. I'm telling you, this is how it works. Okay. We have to do a lot of work on ourselves. This is where it's going to start, and this is where it's going to end for some people. I'm hoping that everything that I've been going through, this is going to be my culmination. If anything comes up during this time, hopefully I can fix it quickly. And of course, there I am trying to rush through it too, but I've been doing this long enough to really know how to work through stuff. I also know how to sit in it, and I've been sitting in it. I'll be honest. I've been sitting in a lot of stuff for a long time now. I'm tired of kind of sitting. So I'm hoping that this is going to be towards the end of this stuff. So I'm hoping that I'm not going to have to face too much, but this may be the start of something for you as well. This may bring out so much stuff that you're going to have to do a whole cycle on this, which means years. It's a lot of work. This is a huge, huge lesson. Okay. And that's the thing. And it's better to really get this down right the first time, so that as you go through this lesson and this cycle, you're going to know how to do it a lot easier when you have to face stuff. Don't forget that both the full moon and Mercury retrograde energy will be working together. These strong energies may make your world feel scattered, chaotic, and confusing. Like always. I mean, I'll be honest, any Mercury retrograde is just chaotic to begin with. I'm getting frustrated just thinking about it because my computer always breaks down during it. Again, it's all about taking a step back. And I even when I did the Mercury retrograde video, that was one of the first things I said to everybody: just take a step back, take a step back, take a step back. And I'm going to be honest, I really do think this is the theme of this Pisces full moon, because it's coming out so much in me. If you haven't been doing this work already, you may experience this energy more intensely. If this is the case, don't stress. This energy is just sharing with you on what needs to be worked out inside of you. The best thing to do is stop, take a break, reflect, reassess, then move forward. This is the key to this specific transit that is currently taking place. Just keep repeating these steps until you get what you need out of it. Okay. I can't stress this enough. When you feel overwhelmed or stressed in this situation, take a step back, breathe, regroup, reassess, address, and move forward. Okay. We also may feel unsettled in our being or unsure of how to proceed ahead. Things may not feel as clear as we would like them. Just keep remembering this is part of the process. Keep taking steps forward, and remember to take a step back to reevaluate. Eventually, the path will be clear to see once you get there. It's just a matter of working through this. Think of it as like you're tearing down walls, right? Every time you have an emotional upheaval or something, you got to take that step back. It's that, just let it know that that's a wall that you're hitting. You have to face that wall. You have to take down the blocks and get to the path, but you can't get to the path until you take down those walls and start working that through you. Okay. So you're going to have to work, and that's the wound. That's where the wound is. You got to figure out where that wound is. And we're going to go over that in a little bit. The key to this full moon is to allow our heart to be what guides us. Allow your feelings to rise up when we give ourselves permission to be. It can move us, direct us, and become our guiding light. So basically what I'm saying is turn the mind off, use the heart, let the heart have its time, and let these feelings come out, okay? Because we're going to feel a lot of stuff, especially if you haven't been open for a while. We got to give our minds a little break, let our heart, our heart needs to be a little repaired here. We got to do some damage control, okay? Because the mind is kind of taking control and has kind of kept it hidden. But I think this is going to be the first time we're going to see a lot of issues coming up with people who are not going to be able to hold up that mindset anymore because they're going to be knocked down too hard. Work through any mental interference in this process. Be aware. Okay, so here we go. Work through any mental interference in this process, which I mean, when your heart is opening up, do not allow your mind to take control over it to get you out of the situation, because we don't want our mind to be the reason why we have to do this the correct way. Okay. We have to feel these emotions. We have to feel it and sit in it for a little bit. Okay. Be aware of any negative feelings that come up and makes us aware that there is a wound that needs to be healed. So be aware of any negative feelings or emotions or thinking, even thinking. Okay, I want you to pay attention to thinking during this time, only because I want you to pay attention to any negative thoughts. We're gonna throw in the Mercury retrograde here as well with the Pisces, because it's going to be in Pisces that is bringing it out. But we're gonna throw in the Mercury retrograde, and I want you to recognize the negative thinking. So I want you to recognize the negative emotions and negative thinking. And I would be aware of how they're actually connected. Okay. Because if there's a negative thought, then there's probably a negative feeling. All right. Learn to work through that negative thought or emotion until you find your positive guiding light. And I'll go over this a little bit. If you are just learning this lesson, just start off by recognizing the negative thought or emotion. Work on changing the negative mindset first. If negative emotions are still being released, don't stress. It just may mean that wound is deeper. So basically what I'm saying is that, so when I did this, I had to change my mindset first. My mindset had to change. I had to get out of a negative mindset and get into a positive mindset before I could do any emotional work. I had to get out of the negative mindset. So first things first, got to get rid of the negative mindset. So if you're not able to settle down your mind, at least start recognizing the negative mindset. Okay. Because I know a lot of people, a lot of times are like, just stop and breathe. I couldn't get my mind to stop. Two things about that. One, make sure you're getting enough rest. Okay. You need to rest. That'll make the mind go even faster if you are having a hard time turning your mind off. So rest is really important. Two, if you're really having a hard time with your mind racing, I definitely recommend getting some help with a psychiatrist and maybe talking to them about it, because it's like a racing mindset. And sometimes there's some medications that can help reduce that constant thinking process. And a lot of times we're caught in a negative cycle. And it's hard to break that, because I ran into that problem a few years back and I couldn't get out of the negative cycle. And you got to recognize the negative cycle. And we could talk about that in a different video, but it isn't always easy to stop thinking. So if you are unable to stop thinking and you haven't seen treatment or haven't been able to figure out how to fix that yet, the first thing I'm going to tell you is, one, just recognize the negative thoughts. And two, I'll be honest, check out being caught in a negative cycle. So the thing is that you can if you're constantly thinking about the same thing over and over again and there's no solution, then it's not the right thought. It's pointless. It is pointless to keep thinking about it any further, because there is no solution. So that thought is no good. So you just recognize that thought is no good. Just tell yourself, That's it. That's a negative. That's a loop. I'm stuck in a loop. I'm stuck in a loop. And that's what I used to tell myself. I'm stuck in a loop. I'm not finding a solution. And the thing is, the whole key is to find the solution. And if I'm stuck in a negative loop, especially a negative loop, I am going to not be able to find the solution that I need to have to be able to move forward. So that's the first thing. If it's something that is really bothering you about a situation, this is what I would tell myself. I'm stuck in a negative loop. I've been thinking about this for months now, and it's still not getting any better. What I'm going to do is I'm going to allow myself to stop thinking about it. I'm going to move forward. And I know if this situation, if something changes down the road and it comes up, we'll take a look at it again. But for right now, I don't have the solution to this answer. So it's time to move forward. So you understand that? Recognize a negative loop and understand that we have to get out of this negative loop pattern that we're stuck in so we can move forward, because we can't make any changes in this place. And that could be why you're stuck in a negative loop, because you're not able to move forward because you're stuck in this mindset that's keeping you trapped there. So we have to get out of it. So you have to find different ways. There's medication, there's meditation, there's talking to yourself and coaching yourself out of it. That's what I did all three. I have a psychiatrist and I take some meds to help me do it. I meditate and ground myself, and I also coach myself out of it. So I took all three to get myself out of this negative mindset. And thank God, because I was really stuck. I mean, I was stuck. I could not get my mind to stop thinking about the situation. And it kept running cycles and cycles and cycles, and it never changed. It was always the same freaking pattern, same situation. I just couldn't think of. And I finally had to get onto my case and say, that's it. We're done. We're done. We're not thinking about this anymore because there's nothing there to look at. Time to move forward. And that's when I did it. So that's what's really important. If you start to recognize negative words and stuff like that, just recognize that you're having a negative mindset. We're allowed to have negative feelings and thoughts, but we're not allowed to have a negative mindset. We need to be able to have a positive mindset that does allow to have negative feelings once in a blue moon, but we don't want the negative mind to be running the show. We want the positive mind to be running the show, with negatives being a backup just to keep us safe from things that may hurt us. Okay. So understand how this works. Our mindset should be in a positive mindset with a negative as a backup to protect us from anything that may hurt us or put us in danger. Okay. We got to get this under control. And just recognizing that you're in that negative mindset may help you to get out of it. It took me 24 hours to get out of a negative mindset. I was in a positive mindset within 24 hours. And then once I was in the positive mindset, I was able to move forward. I was amazed by it. Eckhart Tolle taught me to do that. And I was truly amazed that it only took 24 hours to fix. I still use it today. It's like it has to be cleaned out every once in a while, because you don't realize how much negative is around you, especially working in a hospital setting. You know, I have a lot of negative stuff that goes on, and I get caught up in a negative field very, very fast. So I have to constantly keep cleaning it out and making sure I'm staying in a positive mindset. We have to understand that a lot of the stuff that's coming up with these negative things, a lot of it could be wounds that are hidden deep, especially if it's something that we can't seem to get over or get through. But it could just mean that the wound's a lot deeper than we realized. You may have to reflect further back on your life to find the core wound and begin the process all over again. So sometimes when you're stuck in a cycle and you can't get back, reflecting back even further to figure out why you're, if it's emotional pain, if I'm hurt, why do I still feel hurt from this? Well, if you're still saying, if you're still not able to get out of it once you get into a positive mindset, now you have to move backwards. Okay. So once you fix the mindset and you get into a positive state, and now you're ready to work on a wound, and the wound's still there and it's still not going away. Now this is where we have to try to heal the wound, because unlike the mindset, I can't just feel happy. I have to figure out where this wound's coming from, because the only way for me to feel happy is to heal the wound. And it's no different than having a broken leg, right? I'm going to be in pain until this is fixed. And so this is what happens with a wound. So our emotional wounds have to be addressed as they come up. Once we get out of the, but you can't do that until you get out of the negative mindset. But if the wound can't be healed through a positive mindset, then that means the wound is a little deeper, and we have to kind of keep going back further in our life to see where this wound originated. A lot of times it's not coming from the person that we think actually wounds us right now. It's usually something deep in our childhood. One of the first wounds I actually worked on was one that I didn't know bothered me as much, and it was a abandonment issue. And that abandonment issue really is a core wound, and that comes, really, believe it or not, comes from you actually leave in the womb, but it actually, where it really hit me hard was something that had happened to me when I was younger with a relative, and that's where the wound was. And the thing is the wound was creating anger inside me as an adult, and it may have affected my relationships throughout the years. And so I didn't even know that this wound was even there until 40 years later. And there's some things that I can't change. I can't change the fact that this happened. Nobody was at fault. Nobody did anything wrong. I was a kid, and I was little when somebody, I had a relative that I was close to that just moved across the country, and my whole world came crashing down on me. And that's what really affected me. And the thing is I have to heal that inner child of mine. I have to heal that wound. And the only way I could get rid of the anger from my aunt was to actually work on this wound and to learn how to heal it. So the reason I was angry at her now had nothing to do with actually the anger that was coming out. The anger was actually coming from a place that was a long time ago, and it was because I never addressed it. And once I started to heal that wound, no, I don't have any anger for my aunt whatsoever. So that's why that wound healing is so important, because a lot of times it comes from things that we don't actually realize. So when I tell you, you have to go deep within, I'm not kidding. It's a deep, deep root here. And Pisces is a very deep sign, and it's going to go really deep down. So don't be surprised if you're hitting a lot of core wounds. And this could be a big thing, because like I said, I had no idea that this wound was even sitting inside me until a few years back. And I'm not kidding. This really did have a lot of effect on me in my relationships, and not even it never came out. I would have never known that this even bothered me. So it is something to be very aware of. And you really, really have to learn to go deep, deep within yourself and kind of look at how things played out in the beginning of your life. I'll be honest. I tell people all the time, a lot of times what people do is they work backwards until they get to the end. I'll be honest, when I hit a wound, I go straight back to my beginning. I'm going to start there, because I'm going to guess that it's probably there anyways. And if it's not, I could probably scoot right back up fast. But if I work backwards, I'm never going to get there. It's going to take me forever to work through every single wound, because what you're doing is I'm going to look at this wound I'm going to look at what triggered me. Then I'm going to look at the relationship before that. And then I'm going to look at the relationship. You know how many relationships I've been in tons of them. Let's just get back to the very first relationship that I had. And that was with my aunt. And so that's the thing. So I just went to the very beginning. I went to the first one. How about that? The first one was my mother. And then the second one was my aunt. So I'll be honest, me leaving my mom's room didn't seem to really bother me. Okay, so it's the next one. That was the relationship with my aunt. So the core wound really is the abandonment issue really does come from the mother and the child, because it's a abandonment issue that we leave our mother or leave the womb. But it didn't, that wasn't really what I'm not wanting to go back into my mom's room. I mean, come on, I'm not a 46-year-old who's craving to go back into my mom's room. I think I've gotten over that. But the next relationship was the relationship with my aunt, and that's the one that got wounded really hard. And I was little, and nobody knew, because I didn't notice it. I didn't know. I was a kid. I was seven. So it was that wound, and it was a big wound, and it really affected everything in my life. So I'm not kidding when I say you have to really find the wound that's hitting you hard and figure out where it's coming from. And once you start to heal that part of your child, you will start seeing a lot of changes in yourself, and your emotions will start to ease off a little bit. And then anger and sadness and stuff will really start to ease up. You'd be surprised how easy it is to actually get through emotional stuff once you learn how to do this process. And it is a process. It's an astrological process that teaches us this process, but this is exactly how it works. The universe is always guiding us, showing us the way, forcing us to look at everything. It is so important to remember this is a process. This one transit is one part of a bigger cycle in our own life lessons and skills. They are meant to guide us to our higher selves so that we may live our best life. So again, this is like, for me, this full moon, I'm hoping, is going to be the tail end of everything I've been working over for the past couple of years. I know when it started, this cycle, and hopefully this is going to be the end of this at the end, and also the start of a new cycle. We have to understand that this stuff, yes, this full moon may affect us, but this is one part of a bigger picture over the past few years. So this is why it's important to do reflection work and look back at things. And I'm not looking back. I don't want you looking back and dwelling on what happened. I want you to look back and seek out the answers inside yourself and look deeper within and try to understand the situations as an adult, right? So if we have a lot of wounds that were during childhood, I need you to go back and start to heal that child. Get that child in a better place inside you, because that child still lives inside you. That child's still in you, okay? Like last year when I went through something, that was a huge childhood wound. Huge. That was another wound that I did not know was there. And that wound was playing out at work. So I had one wound coming from a family member that affected my relationships. I had another wound that happened in my schooling, and that affected my job. So I had to heal both these wounds, and these were huge, huge wounds. I mean, I'm not kidding. These were huge wounds, and it took me 10 years to get here from learning this. So I learned this 10 years ago, and I had to go through this again last year and relearn everything and remember how I got there. And even last year, I remember, just write it out, try. And I remember telling myself, don't think about this. Walk through this one. Go on your own, trust your instincts, because I trust my instincts way more than I do my mind. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. I always trust my instincts. Okay. Did I do everything the best I could? Maybe not, but I also had a more serious situation that actually involved people's lives and stuff like that. So I honestly had to take that into consideration when I was making decisions. And that was why I probably went as fast as I did through all of it, because, I couldn't wait as long or be as patient as I normally am in that environment, because there were safety issues that I had to address, and there were things that I could do to make change. So I can change this. And that was the thing. And I was giving them way more time because I am so patient, and that I should have. And that's probably my only mistake that I made last year, is that I should have actually done the change where I knew the change would occur first and just bypassed it all. But I'm patient and I'm loving, and I always give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and I always end up getting screwed. It's better to just fix it the way I knew it was going to be fixed, and that was just it. But that's the thing about reflecting back and looking. Now, I am able to let go of last year. Now it's done and over with. We move forward, and I learned so much about things that I needed in place for myself at work. I mean, the fact that I am allowed to have accommodations and stuff because of my learning disability, and the tools that I can have to get them and all this stuff. I mean, I had to speak up a lot last year, but I got everything I wanted. And so it was really important. I definitely utilized the universe last year. I knew I was going into a universe phase. I knew to not think about things, just go with my gut instinct and go with my instincts, because I trust my instincts enough to know when to go into the pattern, because the pattern is the cycle in the universe, right? The cycle is the pattern that I want to be in. I don't want to be stuck in a loop. I want to be and I'll be honest, the universe is a loop too, but it's a long loop and it takes us forever. It takes multiple lifetimes, right? So I want to get into this. If I'm going to be stuck in a loop, I want to be stuck in this loop, because I want to move forward. So I got to get into the universe. And I know that because I've always followed my instinct and where I should be and what's going on. But I also have I'm always ready when it's time to move forward because I've always done all the work that it's necessary to get me there. I'm not thinking about what I'm leaving. I'm thinking about what I'm going into, and I'm always reflecting, and I don't take one, I don't take stuff from the other one. I'm always taking in what I should have taken in from learning from experiences and stuff like that and moving forward. And I always love the people that gave me that experience. And that's how I move forward. I don't take that negative stuff with me at all. I never take negative with me. I always leave negative in the back and go forward because I can't move forward when I'm in a negative mindset or if I'm feeling negative emotionally. If I'm feeling negative emotionally, I need to work through it. But first, sit in it first. Let it sit there for a few days. See if anything comes about. If it goes away, because sometimes there's a transit going on. Sometimes you could just write it out for a little bit. My mother always says melancholy. Some people feel melancholy. And sometimes that happens, but sometimes there might be something going on. Again, you got to do the internal work and try to utilize the universe's transits to find those things that are coming out. But you gotta be the one that does it. You are responsible for yourself. You have to be your inner coach. You have to find the tools that you can use to get yourself to get into those places. Okay. I have a lot of all these books back here. This is all self-help books. This is astrology, religion, psychiatry, it's all a little bit of different, a little bit of everything. I have my own psychiatrist. I take some medications. I ground myself. I do energy work. I do anything that's going to help me move forward and out of this space. We don't have to live in this space, but we have to learn to get ourselves up and out of this space. Okay. People can try to help us out, but we are responsible for doing it. We have to be the ones that get us up and out, because if somebody else is the reason we're getting up and out, if something takes that person away, we're going to fall right back in and not know how to get out ourselves. So it's really important to learn how to do this on your own. Sometimes, I know for me, I have to know when to seek help because I can go pretty far. I can go all the way down to the bottom, kids. And I had to figure out, when do I actually need to have help? And when I was doing some work yesterday on myself, I realized it's when I can't take a step forward, when I'm truly not able to take one more step forward. That's when I have to seek help. And I know when that part is with me. So, if you ever get into that space where you just can't take one more step and you're done with it, please seek help. I can't stress this enough. There are so many resources out there. I work in an emergency room. We have tons of people that are able to help. Please come to the ER. Please call any suicidal hotlines. There are tons of resources to use to get help. If you go one place and they don't help you, go to another place. There is always something. This is how the universe works. If it doesn't work here, it's going to work somewhere else. Just don't give up. Okay. We have to understand that there is people that help us get us that step forward. I just need a push sometimes. Now, it takes a lot for me to get there. And I've been able to push through all of the times without help, especially this past year. But I knew it was only for a period of time. I knew I was waiting for stuff to happen. I was just waiting for a current to catch so I can get going. So a lot of my issues was just patience and waiting. And I was tired of waiting. I really wanted this time to come in. And that's you got to get to know yourself. And that's really what was causing the issue that I was having this year. It wasn't that I was unhappy. I'll be honest. I was bored. And I was really frustrated over the past couple of years and stuff like this. So I have to know myself. I got to understand what's going on. I have to really understand how this process really works and understand that I've gone through everything in life because this is what the universe has put me through. This is the path God has placed, that He's given me, and it's going to always be my path. So it's just a matter of really taking in and taking care of yourself and getting yourself and knowing yourself and loving yourself and really getting all that you can out of who you are. Okay. And we want to be better and be in our higher selves, and we want to live our best life. Okay. And it kills me to watch people sitting in sadness and sitting in depression. And I just can't, I'm not a person who can sit in a depressed state. I definitely I think I've kind of experienced it this year a little bit, because I know I was telling God, I don't know what that's like because I'm not a very depressed person, but I can't sit in it. I don't know how people sit in it. I don't know if they just get used to it. And there are people, I mean, there are, like, I have ADD. I have to be on medication for my ADD. So I know that there's people that are probably stuck in a depression, and it probably is a chemical imbalance, but I need people to understand that, yes, even with, any type of chemical imbalance or issue like ADD is fine, and the medication helps, but I also know that I have to do work to make sure that when it's time for me to come off the meds, that I'm going to be okay. And I've been doing the work, and I've been getting better, and I don't always have to be on it. And that's the key right there, is if you get put on medication, please, 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 please try to do the work that you need necessary to get you out of that. Because if don't forget, meds stop working after a while, or something happens where you can't take it anymore, the insurance stops paying for it. What happens when you don't have this med anymore? Am I going to be able to cope or handle this? No. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm getting nervous because I don't know. I can't be on Adderall forever. And I know eventually I'm going to have to come off of it, because sorry, there's a fly. It's going to get harder. It's an amphetamine. And so I have to figure out how to be able to function without it. And that's taking a lot of work. I have to do the work internally on myself. And it doesn't mean I'm not going to have ADD, but it does mean that I think I've picked up enough skills to kind of rewire my brain. So just be aware that we got a lot of things that we have to work on. If you have reached your low, your bottom, don't give up. Stop, regroup, find your source, and take the next step forward. In source, I like using source. AA uses source. Everybody's got something, or it should have something higher than them. AA uses higher power. I like source. I am very religious, or I'm very spiritual. I do believe in a God. I believe in, God created the universe. That's why astrology is playing out, and he, this is how he's directed our life. And I really do. And I'll be honest, I had a patient who was not doing well, and who was an alcoholic, and he's had multiple attempts to try to, recover, and he's just struggling. And I have a tattoo, God's love, on my arm, and I wear short sleeves. So I think he read it, and he said he's an atheist. And I was like, oh, and it's hard for me to help someone, because to me, there needs to be something higher than yourself, something that's going to pull you up, because especially when you're at your bottom, and if nobody's around, that is the one thing I know that's going to get you up and out. And AA uses this. It's a very proven knowledge. It helps a lot of people get through a lot of things. And I'll be honest, something had to create you, but I'm not going to argue. At the end of the day, I'm not going to argue with someone about, there's something above us, but I'll be honest, I also don't know how to help somebody in that state. It is hard, because my thing is God created us. We have this greatness inside of ourselves that he created that needs to come out. And I don't have anything to help when I talk to this gentleman, because he doesn't believe in God. But at the end of the day, God will walk me through it anyways. He usually finds a way to let me help him out. I think that was more for me to see than anything else, because it is weird. I do know when God has me working for someone, or God's helping me to see something. It does take time, but there is light at the end of the road, okay? Or at the end of the tunnel. Just keep going. And I'm going to be honest, I wrote this because I do work in the field. I am an ER tech. I do not do therapy or anything like that. I actually sit with psychiatric patients and patients that are going through emotional turmoil, and just make sure that they're safe until they're seen by a physician. A lot of times I sit with them for hours on end, and I get to know some of them very closely. And they share their experience with me, and I share mine. And, it's kind of nice. Sometimes I'll be honest, sometimes it helps me out too, but I've been at the low, where they're at a lot of times. A lot of these people are suicidal. And I've been in that spot myself. And I have gotten myself out on my own. I did not need to seek help during those periods of time, which was ironic. But love is what got me out and through, and it was my puppy, actually. And I use that love and knowledge that I gained from that experience to help others try to get through this, and just try to be support for them, to let them know that they're not, they're not the only ones, and that, a lot of us go through this, and, you'll get there. And I do speak about astrology sometimes, and I always say it's the universe. It's the universe. Just keep working on it. You got it. It's not going to last forever. And that's why it's important to not sit in it for too long. Let it go, deal with it for a little bit, sit in it in the moment, but make sure you get up and keep moving forward. So I just wrote this just so you understand that this is something close to me, and I'm very passionate about it, just because of the field I work in, and just because of the things I've gone through. If you or somebody is suicidal, please seek help. Sometime we need the help of others get us back on our feet. Please do not give up. There is help out there for you. Life does get better, but when you feel too tired to even take the next step, then seek help. I just don't want you to miss out on the best part of your life. Those who experience the lowest point can always feel the highest point. Just remember to take baby steps and work. You got this, and you're not alone. Just imagine how many people you can help once you make it through. The world needs you. You are special, and you got this. Special gift that is always worth the trials and errors of life. Be proud of who you are, and remember, this isn't the end of your story. It is only the beginning. Make today the first day of the rest of your life, and don't forget to take a quick look behind to see how far you've come. Because you have come a long way, especially people that are close to my age. I always tell them, because we're always going through stuff, and I say, but we've made it this far. We're still living. We've gone through so much, but we're still here. We're still here. And, my job has changed over the years. I don't sit too much with patients anymore. I was doing it for so long, almost 10 years. And the thing is that we have the ability to become so much more than we actually give ourselves credit for. And we are capable of helping others when we are actually helping ourselves. A lot of the things I was able to work through myself was because I was sharing my stories with others. I'm a big fan of group therapy. I loved AA just because I liked group. And I do like sharing my stories with others. And I do think that giving each other support and help lifting each other's and help supporting and saying, you got this, let's go. You got this. We can keep doing this. And I think that's the reason I'm not a big fan of therapy, is because I don't think this is a therapy issue. I think this is about supporting each other and being there for each other when we're low, and to help each other lift up. Like if somebody's down on the ground, all I'm there to do is lift them up, put them back on the bed, and say, you've got this. One more day. Let's get through this, because you're not going to stay in that forever. So I'm going to cut this short only because I hear some noise and I don't know where it's coming from. And I hope this was something that is going to help out. I know it was an hour long. I was hoping for it to not be an hour long. Hopefully I'll be able to upload it. But I really appreciate you guys listening to me. Definitely remember, if you're overwhelmed, stop, take a step back, regroup, balance, process, reassess, reflect, move forward. Okay? You guys got this. Bye.